Well, hello and welcome to another episode of I don't even know what this thing's called anymore. Something about tomatoes and tomatoes, if memory serves me correctly. Um, this time we have eight more films, seven of which are soap operas.
You had a good time, didn't you?
Ah,
I could tell.
yes, yeah. This, as I was telling Clive off air, I attempted this
You
too
you were
quickly
just
after
saying
we.
fuck you, Clive. You were just shouting in my face and
Yes,
pointing.
just seconds ago before we hit record. Yeah, no, about whatever it was 2 weeks ago when we just finished recording the last episode, the next night I attempted to sit down and start the next bunch, and I experienced what I can only call like some sort of acute toxicity where my whole body just kind of dry heaved at the idea of trying to watch High Finance Woman, and I had to take 2 or 3 days off and just be like, nope, no more Joe, for a little while, and anyway, managed to get back on the horse, and here we are with High Finance Woman, which is what a great title. Uh, you know,
It's
um,
from the era of the Filofax, isn't it?
yeah, it feels like this like disclosure or whatever. I mean, I don't know if that's probably a bit later on, but that's
For,
in
for,
the air.
for those too young to remember, the Filofax was an incredibly impressive bit of technology that would impress all who saw it in being basically a ring binder that you wrote in physically. But believe it or not, once upon a time, this was a sign that you were a flash git
Mm.
and
Yeah.
uh,
A
and
few years
were,
before the pager was kind of the pager took over as
yes,
this of
and you were working at like Canary Wharf or something like that, and you had a phone the size of a refrigerator in your car.
right, hooked up to a huge battery.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. So, who wants to talk about what this thing was about then?
So anytime, any play. Oh yeah.
So, High Finance Woman, yeah, this one, this is what's her name? Tara Buckman again, who was in the superb, the scintillating Blue Angel Cafe from our last set. Except this time she's not playing a woman singing the same song nine fucking times. In this one, she's some sort of money grubbing, sort of, Wolf of Wall Street or whatever the female equivalent is. Probably, I don't want to say bitch of Wall Street. That sounds misogynistic.
Massively misogynistic. It was too late now.
Yeah.
You've done it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, she's some sort of
A
Wolf of Wall Street
filthy
type.
loose slut of Wall Street.
That's the one. That's the one. Um,
Yeah, because she's
yeah.
also banging her clients and stuff like that, right?
Yes, and she's into insider trading, right? So she's sleeping with uh some older fella who's kind of feeding her information on like deals and stuff so that she's always got the edge, and she's been promoted within her company and stuff, and
Well,
then
she is the high finance woman.
she is indeed. And then she gets sort of involved with a younger dude called Alex, who is a really, really bad actor.
This is Charlie Edwards. He's sent to interview her because it's like, my God, like f you're a high finance person and you have a vagina. That's amazing. We must do an article all about you. This is astounding.
hmm
Who would
And although
believe
they
you?
initially meet when he tries to hit on her at the fitness club they both attend, and she roundly rejects him. Yeah, he's also in Hitcher in the Dark, right? He was I guess he was a bit of a film mirage, um, one of their stable of actors of this era. Um, but anyway, yeah. So then it turns out what? So she ends up in a relationship with him, and it turns out that um,
Her
it's her
insider trading
Oh
buddy
yeah,
is
so it's his dad,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that she's been banging to get the information, and so he tries to intervene and break them up, um, and then he goes off and dies suddenly, and then they get back together, and
More or
the
less. Joe D'Amato liked this so much he recycled the idea for another film, right? And this is the first of this batch as well that we discover that Joe D'Amato really, really likes happy endings. who
To
will,
his soap operas.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They're all kind of they all end relatively nicely and everyone's fine.
Yeah, no matter how
There's
inappropriate that
no
is for what's happened up until the last 5 minutes.
there's no
Uh,
crazed George Eastman banging a nurse in an asylum to death or anything at the end, right? It's
I wish.
For some reason, I could only watch this one in Italian, so I've not much to say about it. Really. Were you able to watch it in English? Or?
there were subtitles attached. A subtitle.
No.
Yeah, I you should have asked. I'd have told you, but
Nah.
they
I
were
don't,
pretty
not much going on here, really.
they were
No.
pretty bad fan subs, though. Um they were very literate. They might even have been machine translated, I think.
Yeah, they seemed, yeah, all of it. Actually, this brings up something I needed to bring up from the previous uh episode we did.
Hmm.
In the first 11 Days, 11 Nights movie, and I written it down, I even bolded it, highlighted it because I wanted to talk about this. There's a scene right near the beginning where our main dude, whoever he was, he meets up with the, Sarah Asprun and they bang on that like ferry, right?
Yes, yes.
Um, and then the next day he's in work, or I think it was in work, and he's talking to his friend and he's regaling him with the fact that he's hooked up with this girl. And he
Yeah.
said, "Oh, was she hot?" And his response is, "She
She
was
was a
built like
shit.
a brick shit house."
No, 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 no. He gets it wrong. He says
Okay.
she was built like a shit brick house.
Even,
And then
even
his rotund friend corrects him. Don't you mean brick shit house? And then he goes like, whatever, or something like that.
but
Because you would. I've never understood this phrase. This is a phrase I've heard over the years. I've never quite understand what someone built like a brick shit house. Is that a good
I
thing?
always
But
assumed it was like a rugby player who was like wider than he was tall, like that it was in no way something you would say about an attractive woman that you'd had sex with.
however, having said that, if you had to choose between banging a brick shit house and a shit brick house, you, because that's just bringing someone's DIY into disrepute, isn't it?
Anyway, yeah, sorry. I did want to bring up that piece of glorious dialogue from.
Seeing as we are being misogynistic today and the first stone has been thrown, I would like to posit that Christine Rose is a brick shit house and Tara Buckman is a shit brick house.
Classy. Now I'm gonna disagree with you via a review here in a moment that somebody else has written.
Okay.
But anyway, do we have anything more that we need to say about this before I read the greatest review I've ever read
Oh,
on the internet? Gav, do you have anything to kick in? Although apparently you watched
No,
the movie in Italian. Okay, so here's a review from IMDb from Affordman. And I'm going to
is this of High Finance Woman or the next
oh
one?
yes,
Oh,
this is
okay.
a High Finance Woman. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Okay.
This is what Affordman has to say. Yes, this movie is awful as it normal for D'Amato, and it's my favorite across collection of some 2,000 awful flicks. It's awful because I couldn't find decent copy, colors off, etc. So, what makes it my favorite? Main chick. She is slut, cheesy, undress often, and in short, this is the way single men like any women. Reality in US is quite strange for any local, as women became species, not necessarily females. This, this is fucking brilliant. This movie is a dream, imagination, and a story, and D'Amato makes conflict after conflict to keep it running. It also realistically shows how we men chase anything with name female on it. Yes, sex part kind of not here, too bad. The flick not shy, touch social aspect, namely money, which is name of game in US.
Wow. We have just been made
that's more
redundant, gents.
entertaining than the film itself. Yeah.
So thank you,
To get
Fergman.
this guy
IMDb.
on the show.
Yeah.
I can reach out if
If
he's
you're
not greatly
listening,
offended by what I just did. I have no idea where he's from, so that my accent was entirely pulled out of the stratosphere. But Anyway.
Main girl is shit brick house for sure.
So yeah, I think we can probably move on. I don't think we can say it any better
No,
than
that is a work of great genius. Yeah, come on the show. You've got an open invite.
Oh, I did take a look at a few of his other reviews, and they're all batshit, and they're all that good. They're all he has lots of stuff to say about yeah, stuff.
Any is he coming up again in this show today or?
Sadly not, no,
Oh,
but
okay. I'm gonna have to look him up.
mhm.
The first time I've looked an IMDb user up since Gav, actually, because I was impressed with Gav's reviews, but this man
Myself
in
included.
a very different way.
Um, yeah. Anyway, okay. So what's up next?
This is any time, any play.
Okay.
We should mention that the majority of these, if not all, are D'Amato shooting under his Slonisco pseudonym again, right? So you both look kind of confused. So I'll remind you this one. This is the
Yeah.
one. Fuck, what is? Oh yeah, here we
Yes.
go.
Okay.
Yeah, no. So this one stars, unfortunately, Ruth Collins,
Yes.
who does have some interesting credits. Lead dancer in the Beastie Boys No Sleep Till Brooklyn video. She's on a few of them Electric Blue videotapes. So I don't know if Gav is familiar with her. No?
Not particularly. Kind of feels like this film was like made by someone who was like kind of like obsessed by her. So she's like lots of scenes in the film, doesn't she? And lots of singing and costume changing, things like that.
Yeah, and she's in some Roberta Findlay films. But more than anything else, she reminds me of Maggie Clark.
I don't know who that is.
Who's Maggie Clark?
Vaguely, well.
Like a Scouse actress who was in. Oh, she was in Letter to Brezhnev, and she was like a minor celebrity in the UK. She even actually she recorded a single with Half Man Half Biscuit, oddly enough, and she was like a torch singer, I guess. And she was in what's that Aki Kaurismäki film? I Hired a Contract Killer, and she used to be quite famous in the UK for just like she'd be on like Wogan or something, or you know,
Okay.
I think she was a stand-up comedian maybe as well. Obviously,
Anyway,
my reference to Maggie Clark didn't go down as well as I thought.
well, no, I mean, I just, I'm sure she does. I'm sure she's just like Margie Clark.
Less Scouse sounding than Maggie Clark, yeah.
So yeah, it's another nightclub singer
Yes.
movie, right?
With long, boring scenes of her singing, as
Yep.
I've mentioned. Um,
And then this poor man's sort of Matt Dillon guy who shows up in several of these films
Robert LaBrosse.
Yes, yeah.
I think you'll find Nick that Matt Dillon is your poor man's Robert LaBrosse.
It's possible. Yeah, he plays some kind of guy who this is not no, he's not just out of jail, that's one of the other films. But
This
he
is
is
total shit film rubbish. Let me tell you why I love it.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. So she basically they work at the kind of a mafia type of casino, right? And he comes in, they've had a previous affair of some sort. Now he's working for her boss, who she's also having an affair with, and
Yeah,
then
so it's a bit of a love triangle.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm really struggling. I remember Laura Gemser turns up at some point, and I knew it was her, even though you don't see her face. She's like a sales clerk who
Yes.
gets a bit lazy with
Yes.
Marty in a changing room.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean,
Ooh, well, My favorite song ever, "Save and Save and Savin'," of
Yes, it's
course,
been replaced. But
shows up in this.
oh,
No,
is
but
it? Yeah.
it does
There's a
show
lot
up.
of recycled crap in.
Yep.
Uh,
There's also the that whatever that "Not a Lover Can Do Me" song also
yeah,
shows up in
yeah,
again.
in several
Uh,
films, I believe.
yes. So yeah, no, this one was rough. This one was just boring. Uh,
Which would you rather watch on an endless loop in hell, this or Blue Angel Cafe?
this for sure. I
Oh,
think
okay.
Blue Angel Cafe was a harder slog for me, I think.
Gav.
Yeah, it's not that bad. Not that as bad as Blue Angel Cafe. No, no. Not good though, of course.
Yes.
No.
Well, we'll
Yeah.
realize how badly my Stockholm syndrome, or whatever the hell it was,
Oh,
how much pain I was in when we get to talking about contamination, because I actually enjoyed that because I'd watched six of these fucking soap operas before I got to the horror one and was like, oh, this is great. Even though I suspect it's not great, but
there,
just in
I
the
did
sea of
forget
shit.
there was actually one interesting musical moment. There was some song heard very briefly in this song, which is some guy going, "Love, love, love. This is the power of love." That song was quite odd. I quite enjoyed that. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I didn't Shazam it, but
I vaguely remember that too.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's
I
about
have
it for
nothing.
any
I have
time,
nothing. I have nothing to say about.
any play. Oh,
Yeah,
well, here we come. Coming up next is your favorite, then, I guess.
yeah.
I mean,
From this,
lucky you,
yeah.
I'd already seen this like within the past 6 months or something, so I wouldn't
Hmm.
recommend watching this film twice in, well, ever, really, or once even. But yes, Contamination point 7.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes, that's not even one. That's like 70% of contamination.
well, no, the first one's that Luigi Cozzi film, isn't it? With the exploding eggs.
Right. So is this a prequel then? If it's point 0.7 as opposed to, because that surely would be contamination one, and we've moved back.
I guess. 0.7, yeah, it would be, but I don't know.
Yeah.
AKA Crawlers, Creepers, and Troll 3, confusingly, because we just talked about Quest for the Mighty Sword, which was
Which is
also
also
Troll 3.
oh, three. Yes. Well, we've also got we got two 11 Days, 11 Nights two as well. So Joe was obviously clearly out of his mind at this point, or whoever was titling these films. Um,
So I'll just read my very brief synopsis of Contamination Point 7 to start us off.
hmm.
While higher-ups at a nuclear power plant attempt to cover up the illegal dumping of toxic waste, radioactive carnivorous vines attack the local small-town Americana residents. Mary Sellers, also in Ghost House, and the very MacGyver-looking Jason Saucier star. That's it. Just
Well, it's succinct.
yes. No, because I remember being quite. It's all rather poor. I remember being disappointed by this because I remember thinking, oh, this will be fun. I thought it'd be trashy fun, but unfortunately, it's quite boring. I found it to be like it never really brings the trash. But clearly, Nick, you had a good. Before you dive into like a pig in shit, Gav, was this a bore or a great thrill for you?
Well, I didn't expect it to be the most entertaining of this bunch, which probably shows how bad the rest are. But and I had like sort of prior experiences. I remember seeing it on UK videos, like crawlers. But yeah, I mean it's pretty boring, isn't it? But it sort of it reminded me a bit for some reason of that Howling film, Howling New Moon Rising, where just in the, kind of in the sense that sort of you get the sense that all the people in this film probably lived where it was shot, and they're probably just like vaguely playing themselves. Like the guy who was sheriff probably was the sheriff, but the old guy at the gas station probably did actually work there. That's his real dog, that sort of thing.
Is New Moon Rising? That's the line dancing one, right?
Yeah, that one.
Right, right. Yes, a classic we
But
covered on
like,
the show.
it's like it's more like a documentary about these people's lives, and you just happen to draft the sort of horror film plot onto it at the end.
They're quite brave, I have to say, going out and digging up those barrels of toxic waste at the end, like without any protective gear or anything. They don't seem to give a shit.
Even they don't have gloves on.
Yeah, but I suppose that's the least of your worries when some of them are actually dragging you into the ditch and killing you
It's true.
somehow. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
this should be more somehow like those vines and stuff. The idea of the vines is quite cool, but I don't know. It just it doesn't bring that fag thrill factor for me.
Yeah,
It,
no, it's not good. It's not good at all. It's just that by
it's not
comparison, like if you're
right.
drowning in a sea of shit, and I guess there's I don't know where my metaphor is going here, but yeah,
A
it was sort of
filthy toilet seat floating past.
yes, yeah, as a life preserver, yeah,
Yeah,
basically
you
where I
pop
was.
your head through it.
Um, what did I? So obviously there's it owes a debt to Evil Dead, right? Not just with the
Yes.
low, there's a lot of shots of like the camera being held low on probably a plank, just like in Raimi's film, and then the actual
Yes, and
vine.
don't miss the trick there. There's not one vine rape.
Yeah, generally speaking, the film's quite unsleazy actually compared to what else he's doing at the moment. It's yeah. Yeah, no, in fact, it's very safe. Really, there's really only one gore scene, the scene where and so why is he dubbed as well? That really throws me right out of the movie. Is there's like that sheriff character is all of his dialogue is looped, but no one else's is. So he ends up seeming like Matt Berry's character in Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, where everyone else is like has a synchronous sound, and suddenly his dialogue comes in, and it sounds like it's in an echo chamber recorded.
Maybe he was Italian or something.
I don't think so because I think he shows up in one of the other films. I think he's in the one the other Sarah Asprun film where she's got the
Oh
feuding.
yeah, we should mention
Um,
actually, shouldn't we, that all this batch pretty much they're all D'Amato's still in either New Orleans or Louisiana or right. They're all
yes.
actually no. This is weirdly enough, this is the one outlier. Apparently, this was shot in Utah.
Oh, so and sorry, wasn't Troll 2 shot there as well?
That maybe that's why this is AKA Troll 3.
I suspect so. I think this is even maybe this is even shot in the same town. So
Maybe
the
that's why. Maybe that's why it's not as sleazy as maybe the other stuff that they shot you to sort of warm and sort of do more sort of warm.
That would make sense.
Yeah. No, the most attractive part about this entire thing is the video box, which doesn't actually represent, I think, anybody who was in the movie. But if you remember, it has that picture of that sort of like tied up, busty girl with her boobs falling out of her shirt, like wrapped in vines. It looks very sexy swamp thing.
Well,
Um,
obviously, that's what the young Gav was looking for back in the day when he rented the video.
anyway, we were still talking about creepers, contamination, crawlers, right?
Well, you were in the middle of saying how much you enjoyed the video. Well, I think
The
Gav
cover.
got cut off
Yes.
saying something about the video cover.
Yes.
Well, the terrible thing is that I never actually saw the video cover. I just remember like there was like this video rental shop, and it had like loads of tapes for about 50p, but none of them ever had covers. So I just like grabbed anything that the title sounded okay. So like I think it was Creepers, but Crawlers or something back then, and then Bloody Birthday and Sewage Baby, and anything that sounded sort of vaguely horrorish. I just like grabbed 50p, but hope for
50,
the best.
50 pence a rental.
No, to buy outright. But none of them
Okay.
covers, so I just had to go off the titles alone. Yeah.
Do you still have these tapes?
No, not at
No,
all.
no. He's upgraded them all to Blu-ray by now.
No, exactly. No.
I don't know if Sewage Baby. I think there was a Sewage Baby DVD. I seem to remember.
Yeah.
That was good.
But,
That was good. I like the Sewage. That was a Vitco release, right?
yeah. So I think anything with Bitco and anything sort of horrorish title, grab 50p.
That's I mean, that's a good price. You can't beat 50p. Um,
I don't know what
so
the story was there because it was like a mental shot, but I don't know. Maybe they lost a load of covers or something and had to tell the tapes on for nothing.
yeah, it's kind of nice because then you really don't know. It's a bit like a grab bag or like a pick and mix where you're not quite sure what you're getting because you can't actually see, you know. Yeah, just purely going on title.
So
Um,
have we finished yapping about Contamination Point 7, or do we have some more to say about it?
Maybe. I mean, it's a movie that has two different characters in it who stop to talk to the local prostitute but not have sex with her, just sit in her room and mope. That's weird. And then she turns out to be like really she's a hardworking hooker because at the end with a heart of gold, she shows up to like dig the toxic sludge out or whatever, and then she saves a child who gets attacked by
And is then killed because
and then it's killed, yes.
yeah,
Oh, I was
because
gonna say that
it does have Utah morality, right? The film, so
yes.
as long as the filthy wench gets killed at the end, it's all right.
As I say, and the kind of the one memorable gore scene is that the smug town sheriff who gets his eyeball poked out by one of the vines. But a lot of the vine attacks are very Bella Lugosi and the giant octopus. Like there's a lot of people clearly wrapping them around themselves, and kind of there's not much articulation going on.
Yes,
Um,
cynicism is shocking.
and yeah, yeah, it's pretty. And then a lot of great
You've lost that magical childlike wonder.
suspension of disbelief. Yeah, and the repeated like sound effect is also quite enjoyable. That consistently plays over and over again when these things flick out. And we got a kind of a Mr. Burns type of character who runs the local nuclear power plant
Or
as well.
his sublime acting from him. Like a proper cackling villain, isn't he? Yeah, he is. You're quite right. He is Mr. Burns, isn't he?
Yeah, it's instead of Blinky the fish, it's these vines. Um,
But anyway, Nick, that's enough refuge
we're-
sought on your floating toilet seat. It's time to jump back into the river of slurry that is the rest of
yeah, it's like this is like the worst days of Christmas ever. Like on the whatever eighth day of Christmas, Joe D'Amato sent to me what seven fucking soap opera films and a shit movie.
you buy your copy of the Radio Times Christmas special and find out that this year BBC One is
Doing the
showing only Joe
retrospective
D'Amato films.
from the late 80s through the early
The
90s.
big Christmas film is Crawlers.
Oh.
Everyone turns over and watches Moonraker on ITV, right? Right, okay, so
Okay.
from vines, this is a
Mhm.
good transition, to
Oh.
flowers. That is passion's flower.
Ah.
I'm inordinately pleased and smug with myself for that.
Hmm.
Right, what's going on here then? Christine Rose now.
Yep.
So see, so what's the two she's in? Passion's flower, and then it's Web of Desire, right? Now,
Yes.
riddle me this then. So I was trying to figure this out, right? So they're still not very good films, but I found Passion's Flower and Web of Desire vaguely more entertaining than the other two films. And then I was thinking, is it also a coincidence that I fancy Christine Rose a bit more than
No,
the
it's not a
others?
coincidence, Clive.
Or are these actually slightly better films? Or is it just that I engage with them slightly more because I found the lead more attractive than the
I
other?
think that's exactly what's happened, Clive.
Okay, all right,
I
okay.
don't think
Fine.
they are
Is that what happened to
qualitatively.
you as well then?
Yeah, I mean, I think she is cuter, but they're not good. Yeah,
Gav,
passion.
where do you stand on this theory?
Did you send me this one, Passion Flower? I got nothing down for it. I've been spared this one.
This is the kind of postman always rings twice kind of one where Robert Labrosse, the rich man's Matt Dillon, um, goes to work at his brother's tavern and his hot wife runs hot and cold and seduces him, tries to convince him to kill the his
His own brother.
Big, yeah. Does this ring a bell?
No, no,
Oh, really? Oh,
Lucky you. Lucky
yeah.
you, Gav.
I feel like I've seen all these films.
I think this one was I genuinely think this one was ever so slightly better. Um,
I mean, obviously, I have a bit more time for anything that's in this
Kind of a bit more noir.
neo
Yeah.
noir, yeah, Jim Thompson-y kind of like that. The idea of it's good, but I don't know that the execution is any good.
It is basically a kind of slight move the furniture around Postman always rings twice, though, isn't it? Basically,
Yes.
with this quite pathetic attempt at like, so when we first see Superior Matt Dillon hitching into town, there's like a thing on the radio about um a very unprofessional kind of radio report where they about a missing girl, but they don't give the little Susie has been murdered, right?
Hmm.
And it's set up that is because we know there's something in his past or whatever, and then kind of at the very, 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 very end of the film, turns out someone else killed little Susie, and
Yes.
it's like, oh, that was a really pathetic way of dealing with that red herring.
Right.
Um, but Christine Rose is all right.
Yeah.
Laura Gemser plays a hooker in this one. Um, and oh, my favorite bit, just
Hmm.
to put it into context, is when he turns up at his brother's tavern, and there's a sign outside
Yes.
that says Nintendo tapes rented.
Yes.
What the fuck is a Nintendo tape?
I assume this is like yeah, I have a vague memory of kind of like people like wrongly referring to the cartridges as tapes.
Already?
Yeah. That's I think it just means games like the
Oh, okay. So this would have been a more common misnomer than
possibly, but I think like maybe in certain parts like it's a regionalism, like how, you know, in some parts of the US it's pop, in other parts it's soda, in other parts everything's just called Coke for some reason, even if it's, you know, fizzy
Does it
orange.
also maybe tend to be parts of the country which are peopled with Italian film crews, maybe?
It might be.
Right.
It might be, yes.
Because this is New Orleans, right? Because we get some footage of Mardi Gras. Um,
Yes. We get some beads, but no topless
well,
girls or no
it's oddly, you were mentioned this before. You were saying that Joe D'Amato missed a trick by not showing. And the funny thing
top
is,
girls
in
gone
this
wild.
film, which is an erotic film, which does have nudity in, they show the beads being thrown, but they never show any
Anyone
naked
pulling
ladies.
up their
No.
yeah. No.
So obviously, for all the other sleaze, Joe frowned upon this particular practice, or I don't know. Or do you think maybe? Do you think there's a problem with people filming that stuff or something, and like you get shut down, like people throw bricks at you or something if you try attempt to
I mean,
film?
I don't know then, but I mean, like it's just a few years later that those guys, you know, the Girls Gone Wild guys, that's all they did. They made all of their money off of just going
Yeah,
to
but I'm
Fort Lauderdale.
guessing they paid the locals. I don't think Joe did, right? I'm
Right.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
He tried to. We cannot pay you, but we have Nintendo tips we can give you.
Yes. Yes.
Also, there we go. Gav's cheated by pretending that he didn't get this film. That's clever. I'm gonna have to think about that for the next episode.
Well, you're the one who's
Ah,
distributing the films.
well played, Mr. Whitaker.
But yeah, because you missed the chance to see what's his name? LaBrosse, Robert,
Robert
the
LaBrosse.
Robert LaBrosse. Yeah, you missed the chance to see him in kind of high-waisted mom jeans with a pronounced camel toe most of the film, which was a fetching look on the man, I have to say. Also, there's a song in this that I swear has just got caveman grunting in it. It's just like there's a song playing and it just sounds like somebody going. It's like what is that?
It's an early demo for like Napalm Death or something like that. I think that they recorded.
Could
Yeah.
be Barney, right?
It was in the collection with the Nintendo tips.
Um,
Right. Move on then, is it?
yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say about it. It's just yeah. I mean, it's funny. I want to like this one more than I do. As I said, I like the idea, I like the atmosphere, but it just doesn't quite.
I mean it's not great. It's kind of rubbish, but I have to admit I did get it was better than fucking Contamination 0.7.
Maybe.
If I'm
Um,
wearing my objective
okay.
hat. Um Gav's wearing his can't be fucked to watch that hat. Very, I guess.
All right,
Okay.
so what's up next?
So Christine Rose returns in Web of Desire, which is
So
either
she's taken
11 days.
over.
Huh?
She's taken over from what's her face, who used to be Sarah Asprun, then, right?
I guess, except that this is a sequel in name only. There's no real.
But
There's
she's still playing Sarah Asprun, and we've still got Laura Gemser playing her editor.
It
Kind of.
doesn't. It doesn't begin where the last one left off, though, does it? So it's like there must be some
No.
sort of missing 2.5, 11 days, 11 nights, 2.5. So.
Yeah, because also 11 Days, 11 Nights 3 wasn't an Asprun, was it?
No,
Yeah.
no.
And this is 11 Days, 11 Nights 4 or 2 in some
Yeah.
territories, right?
Mhm.
So I tend to think of it as a because I wasn't thinking of it as a Sarah. Does it have the Sarah Asprun credit?
Yes. Yeah, and in the movie she's referred to as like that's the name she's given in the film.
It is a little too close to Sarah Aspoon, which makes you think of a Felch spoon as well. It just occurred to me.
Yes.
11 Days,
Yes.
11 Nights, Part 7, Felch spoon.
Jesus Christ.
Maybe that's in
Oh.
the hardcore tomato
Hmm.
pick. Nintendo Tips Rented. Yeah, so this one is this is the one where there's like a rich New Orleans family.
Yep.
The patriarch has died,
Hmm.
and he's decided to, spoiler alert, he's not dead as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Good.
Mhm.
You watched this one, right? You could be bothered to watch this one, Gav.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's sent for some reason to be the kind of arbiter of the will, right? To decide if how the money should be proportioned out, or it all goes to charity, right?
Yeah.
And Maggie Clark Ruth Collins is one of she's like the granddaughter or something, and so there's all these different family members, and they're all kind of pervy in various ways, and hidden
Yeah.
cameras and spying, and Sarah Felch Spoon kind of seduces some of the
Everyone, basically. She sleeps with
yes,
them all.
yes.
Except for initially the one son who is impotent.
There's an impotent
Yeah.
guy.
And then but it's all right because he goes off to Greece and meets this vampire woman, and
No,
she's
no,
sort
no, you
of,
get confused. Yeah. And that's not even
oh,
this show, Nick, so no one knows what the fuck you're
oh
talking.
shit, sorry. But anyway, yeah.
You
So
fucking ass hat Felch Spoon.
Whoever wrote these films really seems to like the word impident, though. They use it a lot, and diabolical as well. That's it. So they've got a diabolical plan going on. That word seems a lot.
yeah,
My favorite is there's a just stunningly unsexy bit in a kitchen. There's a seduction where it's talking about horses, right? So it's all like
yes.
the stallion entered. It's just like, oh, this is just so unsexy. And then when it works, you're like, what? Like the saxophone music comes in, and you're like, yeah, no, that's
The guy talking, it's like a guy talking about 10-minute sperm whale ejaculations. Or no,
again.
wait, that's also
Yeah, no, Nick.
sorry. Yes. Um yeah, so this is and then so what's really strange is it's all kind of like light and whatever. And then when it's not, it's really not. Like because basically like the reason that the young scion is impotent, it turns out, is because his dad is a total scumbag
Yeah,
who
seduced him.
rohypnols this young like his like teenage girlfriend basically and rapes her while videoing it on like early
Yeah.
handycam kind of stuff.
What did he give her? What did he give her? Because it made her like want to dance and be sleepy and everything.
And then knocked her out.
I need to get some of that stuff.
Yeah, so you know when people refer to someone having a rapier wit, that's that's not the rapier they're talking about when they're talking about Clive.
Right,
Um,
right.
Quite a bit of product placement for Pepsi in that scene as well, isn't
Is that what it is? Because I can buy that at the shop.
it?
I never thought people always told me Coca-Cola was better. I didn't know Pepsi did that.
but actually, I have
Cream
to say,
soda, Batman. I'm gonna get me some of that.
I was disconcerted by how, like, in a way, he did manage to almost channel what he did way back in Emmanuel in America with its grainy Super 8, like faux snuff stuff, which was arrestingly like, oh Jesus, that looks really real. Somehow, the shot on handycam stuff with the girl also seemed to me to be like, it seemed realer than it should. And
Yeah, it was
again,
pretty sexy.
his his ability to film yeah. Anyway, that's just Joe's whatever. Joe's cinematography is
It was
always
genius. Well, no,
yes.
I think it's whenever something actually interests him a bit, then it gets a bit more interesting, right? So that's a kind of sleazy kind of, and the actress in question is quite cute as well. So it's like finally something interesting to look at, right? Like, um, okay,
I'm not even
all
entering
right.
into this, but
Maybe
anyway,
I'll just go back into my gut.
but also what blew me away about that whole scene was it begins
Hang on,
with
hang on, hang on.
okay,
What blew me away?
yes.
Is your hyperbole machine on by any chance? You turned.
No. It's, I mean, that I started to laugh because it was so inappropriate. Is the music that they used to play over the whole lead up to him drugging her and then him drugging her is like
Save it,
so.
save it, save it.
It's like, well, it might as well be. It's all kind of like lighthearted synth noodling, like it's in no way is it attempting to make you feel uncomfortable or disturbed by what's
Well, no, that's what I'm
unfolding.
saying. It's clearly played to be kind of a little bit of a frisson and exciting, and it is. It's not just me being weird. I think it's actually supposed to be.
No, Clive. I mean,
Well,
maybe Joe,
you think that scene is
no,
no.
you could be
You
right.
think
Joe
that
may
scene
intend it
is
that way, but
designed to no? It's an
a
exploitation
right-thinking
film.
audience member shouldn't be watching that and being like,
No, but that's what it's designed for. It's an exploitation film. Back me up here, Gav. It's supposed to at least make you feel a little bit horny, right? It's not just you shouldn't be doing this. That's not how exploitation films work. You have your cake and you eat it. Otherwise, why would you buy a fucking cake?
Joe
but
DeMarco playing.
yeah, don't buy any cakes from Joe D'Amato for fuck's sake.
Joe's Bakery. Nintendo tapes rented.
Oh Jesus. Anyway, yes, and then twist ending turns out that the patriarch's not dead at all, and he gets half the money, right, and then she gets her book published, right? That was the other thing because nobody wants to sign off on her
Yeah.
releasing the
He
sleaziness
turned
of
up
the
at the end
family.
kind of looking quite Henry Kissinger-ish.
Yes.
Yes. Um, okay, there we go. There's that put to bed. Now, next up, so you seem to like Contamination point 0.7.
Mhm.
This was my favorite of the bunch.
Okay.
War Baby.
Okay.
Uh,
Please explain why,
Devil
Clive.
in the Flesh. Well, because for about 2/3 of the running time, it's proper sleazy, right?
Oh yeah.
So this is there's a couple of mercenaries again, Robert Matt Dillon and Wayne Camp, and Wayne Camp was also in Any Time, Any Play, and they're in
Mhm.
some unnamed South American country, well, Louisiana actually,
Yes.
and they're trying to get the prime minister out of the country after a military coup, right?
Mhm.
They're trying to get him across the border. As luck would have it, they find a a hospital compound in the middle of the jungle with 4 hot nurses with big tits there.
Mhm.
Um,
And
so
as it turns out, our prime minister is suffering from some sort of heart ailment or something like that, right? So he needs immediate care.
Yeah, which is handy.
Hmm.
So they get to hang around and get all rapey with the nurses.
Yeah, these are our protagonists, and they're
Yeah, yeah,
straight.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a
Including
bit like watching naked.
Carmen.
It's like watching Naked, in that like you think like, wow, this guy's a real prick until somebody worse shows up about halfway through the film.
Yeah, yeah. I believe, in fact, Mike Lee was inspired by War Baby to make Naked a couple of
Hmm.
years later. I think that's on the record.
Hmm.
Um, Carmen Di Pietro, who I suppose is the most striking one we remember. Tracy Ray, Nicole Gray, and Jennifer Loeb, and yeah, so it's all rapiness, lesbianism, people flicking the bean, and it's all
Hmm.
jungle and steamy and hot, and that's a lot of fun. And then they suddenly get serious about the boring getting the prime minister across the border stuff in the last half hour, and then
Hmm.
it's just not it. They finally get that fucking truck to work after
Yes.
what seems like forever of that man getting angry at it and actually spitting on it as well.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so two-thirds, not good, but proper, like you feel quite sleazy watching it,
It
which is
did
good
feel
fun.
like older Joe. It
Yeah,
felt more
yeah,
like the Joe
yeah.
of the 70s. Yeah.
And then a bit boring, and then final scroll showing that the prime minister escaped, and there was a counter coup, right, in exile. So it's okay. Our rapist, the ends justify the means. It was
Mm.
fine. The good guys after all.
Yes. And we should point out that all the nurses who get sexually assaulted by the guys then fall in love with them
Of
and,
course, yeah, that's how this
and
works. Yeah.
and then run away with them at the end of the film. So it does have it's a happy ending for everyone,
Once
really.
again, cake, eat. Nom nom nom. With You can use your Welsh spoon.
Oh, Jesus.
So, are we in agreement that this was at least sleazy fun, or did you find it boring, or how did we go? Gav, you haven't spoken for a while. What was your take on War Baby or Il Diavolo nella Carne?
Kind of sleazy fun, yeah. I'd say probably along the lines of like a lot of those like sexy hostage drama things, like Pleasure Shop on
Hmm.
with it. And,
Hard Sensation.
yeah, Hard
Oh,
Sensation.
yes. That was the island one, yeah.
Yeah, probably the lesser of the three, though. I don't know.
Yeah,
I,
but
I like the fact they didn't have the sort of budget to sort of do a big ending, so just put it all on a scroll about what
yeah,
happened. It kind of reminds me a bit of the end of Maximum Overdrive. He said, "Oh well, the truck stopped working eventually, and then the survivors are still the survivors." That sort of thing.
yeah. There we go. There's a triple bill to give you whiplash. War Baby, Naked, and Maximum Overdrive, as programmed at the Gav Crimson Rialto.
Yeah, I did love at the end where it kind of just grinds to a halt with like the bunch of them just standing on a bridge and just kind of looking at each other like as though has Joe stopped filming? Like it's just like just kind of goes on a bit too long.
I was wondering if it was going to end with jump in the air, high touch freeze frame.
Right. Or the kind of the A-team laugh and freeze frame.
Yeah, and like just on the side of the screen, a small dwarf lands in a bucket of water and comes out and goes, and everyone goes,
Um, yeah, okay, that's war, baby.
Sorry, that was a bit of a what's it called? A tautology, right? A small dwarf. They're all pretty small.
Yeah, it's one of the defining features, I suppose.
Yes.
Um,
And the habit of falling in buckets of water
what?
in Masters of the Universe style cartoons.
Um,
Right.
then that's not the last one, is it?
No, no,
This
no,
is
no.
no, no.
You don't get off that easy. Oh, you
Oh,
played Gav's old trick of not watching film.
I only recall seven, Clive.
No, we got two left to go, right?
Two. What the
Yeah,
fuck?
we've
Okay, what?
got A Woman's Secret. Now, this was fucking boring. This was the one with Margot Hemingway.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
What the
Margot
fuck?
Hemingway, again, a bit of a recycling of. So it's a woman's secret. So she's on the run from her husband or some a recently divorced husband, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, no, the recently divorced was another film. Sorry, I'm getting confused. She's on a run, but you don't know why she's on the run. And then a photojournalist seduces her again at Mardi Gras, New Orleans. And then
Mm-hmm.
eventually you find out that the husband had someone killed and she finally comes to the
Oh,
realization. Yes,
right.
you've
Yes.
just
Yeah,
about
like
remembered
coming
now.
back to me now. It's why I have no
Yeah,
notes on this one at all. But yes, that's the
yeah.
one where she walks into the room and sees, and then yeah, he's
But you
got some
don't
kind of
know for the most of the film, you don't know what's going on. And
right.
crucially, you don't give a fuck. So when you find out, you're like, yeah, yeah. This is not having a cake and not being hungry for one either. I don't know. If
I assume that the reason that Ernest killed himself was he had some sort of fever dream where he saw this film, you know, in the future, and then was like, "Fuck, what's the point?" And I just put his
yeah,
mouth in.
yeah, I think he discovered that in the future Skynet directed this film called A Woman's Secret, and he was like, "Nope, we're not having any of that."
Yeah, I said this. This obviously struck me as I forgot to take any notes on this at all. I have nothing,
Yeah, I'm
nothing.
struggling. Gav, any thoughts on I mean, this is one of the more boring of this group, I think.
I did fall asleep through this one. I did.
Always
Another
a good sign.
wow! What a bag of tricks Gav has at his disposal. He's like he's like the Roger the Dodger of film criticism. He's got all these books of dodges.
Well, I mean, we really are in the death march part of the Joe D'Amato files at this point,
You
right? This
never
is
know. You never know when we get to the 12th episode, he might suddenly, it might be classic after classic. You don't know.
hmm
You haven't seen Chinese Kama Sutra or Labyrinth of Love before. There might be
This
lost
is true.
classics.
This is true, Clive. Um, yeah, yeah. Anyway, poor old Margot. I don't think she had a particularly happy life.
I never really noticed before as well. She has quite the odd accent, doesn't she? I don't know. She's got a strange little voice.
Yeah, sort of smoky, very smoky sort of vibe.
Yeah.
Couldn't really work out who she reminded me of. Maybe
Yeah, same here. I was like, oh, that sounds like someone, but I couldn't figure out who.
Marge Simpson, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually,
Could
now
be.
that you mention it, and we did have Mr. Burns. Wow, Joe D'Amato also inspired The Simpsons. Obviously,
Mm.
Matt Groening, is that how you pronounce it? When
Raining, like,
did
yeah.
this years ago, he watched all the Joe D'Amato films and picked and chose, and The Simpsons was born.
Awesome.
Okay then, let's not prolong the pain. Then let's move on and
Okay.
get this last fucker out the way. Um, this was a dangerous obsession, right? Obsession
Mm.
fatale.
Yes.
Um,
So, my thoughts on
also
this.
written, sorry, I forgot to
Yeah,
mention,
right.
also written by Stephen Riley, who was AKA Vincent Rooster, which is a fucking great pseudonym. He was the guy who wrote War Baby, and he also went on to direct a whole lot of hardcore as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So sorry to interrupt. There you go. Yeah. Carry
No,
on.
no. And I did notice a number of these films are credited to Daniel Steele as the writer, not to be confused with Danielle
Right.
Steele,
No, that's Daniel
novelist.
Stroppa, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, but no, so this one for some reason reminded me of jumping way back in the Joe filmography, the Emmanuel and Francoise or whatever, right? Because it has that same central conceit of like the bad guy getting kind of trapped and then chained up in her house
Oh
and then
yes.
used, but I thought like this kind of rodent version of James Woods was no replacement for George Eastman at all.
Jonathan Bitticelli, I think, who just
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be in anything else.
I'm
ever.
not surprised. He has the charisma of a fucking wet noodle. He is like that's actually what I find most fascinating about this whole set of films is like half the actors seem like they're literally dead or they've drunk 2 bottles of cough syrup before because like they just kind of sit there and deliver their dialogue with lengthy pauses and and then every now and again you get somebody who's fucking off the charts like Trawl 2, that woman, the witch or whatever, right? Like somebody who's just like screaming full belt or laughing like a
Row,
hyena.
row, row your boat. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, so you get whiplash within the film from the varying levels of commitment and either total hamminess or yeah, absolute
It's like
flat.
most of the cast of these things are like being placed on the hypnosis, and you, on the count of 10, you'll say all these silly things for about 90 minutes, and then at the end, when I click my fingers, you'll completely
Yeah.
forget you didn't Joe
Was that,
DiMaggio.
was that Werner Herzog film where the cast was apparently entirely hypnotized? Heart of Glass, right? It's Joe D'Amato attempting to do Werner Herzog, but he's obviously not quite as good at it. Um, yeah, so this one again has a Carmen Di Pietro, uh, who she dresses to impress. And what is she? Is she a sex therapist, or is she making a documentary about sex therapy? Or I couldn't quite
Yeah, yeah.
handle on exactly what she's
She's
doing.
a beautiful television journalist,
Yeah,
Lisa or
I can tell
Liza.
you read that you didn't get that from the film itself, right?
No, this is I'm just looking at a
Right.
review. Yeah. So, but yes, she is making some sort of documentary about sex and sex habits or whatever. And
And this skeevy guy who owes money to there's there's a gangster who
he loves life. That gangster
well,
loves life.
what he really loves is Budweiser because there's a scene where he's got like a dozen empty Budweiser cans in front of him, right? Which I guess is supposed to, I don't know, somehow signify his gangster lifestyle or something.
Hmm. Yeah.
But this guy owes him lots of money, so as part of trying to get it, he breaks into this woman's house to steal her jewelry and ends up, tied to the bed and becomes um
Her
his sex
slave.
slave, right? Meanwhile, the gangsters henchmen go around and beat up all his associates, right?
Particularly his one chubby friend, who does turn the tables quite surprisingly
Yes, I was
near the
quite
end of the
surprised
film.
by that scene. Yeah, so he decides, fuck, while I'm here, I'll have a go on Rat Boy as well, right? It's off screen though, right? It's very
Yes.
tastefully done. You just hear like a
Yeah, I was
Well,
not
I'm
expecting the film to go there.
assuming Rat Boy gets rear-ended by Fatso, right? Um,
And I think that that's the same guy who played the dude with the camera who took women up to his like car park full of mannequins.
could be
I'm I'm pretty sure it's the
one
same
of the
actor.
11 Days, 11 Nights. The
Yes.
first one, maybe?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Um, to be
Yeah,
fair, this one at
it
least,
does feel like a bit of a throwback to sort of yes, I say Emmanuel Revenge.
yeah.
Yeah, so when he began sort of going full time hardcore in 1990, he did another version of this film called Rose's Atelier, which is sort of hardcore sort of version of this. And also does the sort of the gay thing with the gay characters coming across this guy chained up and stuff like that. So we've got that to look forward to, another variation of this to look forward to in the 1990s.
Oh
Hmm.
yes, I think I did see that one. That's the one where they're chained up in the basement, right? And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Two guys instead of one.
Interesting. So that was a third time. So obviously this is the recurring motif in Joe's fantasy life, I guess.
So I think with this one, um, I mean, I appreciate a little bit that it's a little bit different, and they did try and do something. They tried to sleaze it up, right? And there's something about there's something kind of interesting about Carmen de Pietro, right? She has a certain
Yeah.
screen presence, um, but
No,
it's not very good.
no, and I do think some of it does come down to the guy who's chained up. He's just very boring. Like, he's just
To be honest, I didn't have a problem with him because I
really.
thought he was about as kind of rat finky as the character should be. Like,
I
yeah,
guess.
seems perfectly what I expected from that.
He just seemed very mopey to me and just kind of like, just, I don't know, he didn't seem to emote at all.
Very,
Um,
very, very hairy as well. I thought.
He was. He was.
I didn't expect the sex scenes in this film to remind me of the transformation in American Werewolf in London.
Ooh, thick burn from Gav there.
Yeah, maybe that's why she had to shame him up. You see, full
there
movie.
you go. And
Um,
I just kept wondering about like what he was doing all day when he was in. Like, I mean, they really avoided him having, to shit the bed or anything like that. But like she's leaving and going to work, just leaving him there chained to the bed. You'd think she might come home to some unpleasantness, but anyway.
maybe that's in another of the hardcore ones.
Right, yes, that's true. It's been a while since Joe has graced us with scat. I think not since those fucking Knights of whatever they were, all of those
Oh, I
yeah.
don't remember. Where did we see Tomato Cat?
In one of those cut and paste job things, like it's the whole set, his whole fake Mondos. There was one of them.
Ah, okay,
Very
okay. There's some
unpleasant.
shit in there somewhere, was there? I
Yeah.
assume you're not talking about scat piano playing.
Nope.
All
Nope.
right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, so I think that's about. Oh well, oh there we go. Whew, I thought we'd never get to the end, but we did. Hooray! Um,
So, for your sake, what are we looking at next?
well, we're looking at another eight. Hang on, one,
Eight.
two,
Yeah.
three,
Yeah.
4, 5, 6. Yeah, both of the next two. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe only 7 in the last show.
Okay.
Um,
But we may do. Or I'll probably watch the documentaries finally at that point as well.
yeah. Maybe we'll do that. And there's a new documentary, right, made within the last couple of years. Inferno Rosso or something like that, which is like the more slick version of the
George Martin.
Yeah, so we might take a look at that as well.
Okay.
Um,
I assume the original one was referring to his foreskin, right? The title.
say that again.
I assume the original title was referring to his foreskin, right?
Right, we're not even going to dignify that with a. um,
So,
yeah, I guess more of the.
wait, sorry. Are they all gonna be fucking soap operas again?
No. It's starting to break up a little bit. It's a bit more variety in the net. Well,
Okay.
I assume they look kind of different. I think
Okay.
we're out of this
Phase.
Yeah, but be
Nuance.
careful what you wish for. You may be longing for the
The days of
89 to 91 days when you're forced to watch Frankenstein 2000, which is, I think, the only one I've seen of the next lot.
Okay.
Apparently, the film that they hired Donald O'Brien to play, I think it's Donald O'Brien, is it? In Frankenstein 2000?
Think so.
Yeah.
Baby,
Hired to play the Frankenstein monster because he'd just had a stroke.
But, I mean, I'll give this to Joe.
Keeping it classy there.
But I'll give it to Joe. Like he finds work for his people. I mean, the fact that Laura Gems is in all of these, it's a bit sad actually to see her reduced to these walk-ons where she's often rejected by the male lead, who's like, not interested, given that she was,
Yeah, still looking.
Yeah, so she looks great, and just like whatever 10 years before, she was the main draw. No one was turning down Emmanuel, but
No.
the vicissitudes of whatever.
Anyway, right, we're blabbering.
Indeed.
So onwards and downwards, once more into the breach of shit and all that.
Circling the bowl, friends.
Yes. But I hold hope that there may be some. No, I don't, actually.
A particularly polished turd might show up.
Until next time.
Arrivederci.